everyone, welcome to Corridor Recorder, recording stories happening along China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. I'm Wang Xiaotong. Today we
want that our honey to be exported to the world.
When farmers export untested honey, they sometimes face a loss.
Pakistan can import from China techniques and production mode.
E-commerce has been used to market products of the villages.
We also helped local enterprises to train some people into spokesmen of their hometown.
After the village got electricity, everything got more lively even than the celebration of New Year's Day.
Prime Minister Imran Khan has announced the Billion Tree Honey Initiative by growing olive avocado orchards and other bee-friendly flora to produce fruit and honey in the country abundantly.
As Pakistan's all-weather strategic friend and iron brother China responded to the initiative immediately. Chinese scholars and honey industry practitioners are showing immense interest in the potentials of future cooperation and academic exchange between Pakistan and China. Zhang Rong, the chairman of China Bee Products Association (CBPA), believed that honey beekeeping in a more natural way is an alternative source of livelihood for poor and marginalized households, and it provides additional income for farmers, ensuring food security and sustainable environmental conservation.
Rich natural and human resources have equipped Pakistan with favorable conditions to develop the bee products industry. Most of Pakistan's land is subtropical, which provides a warm climate for vegetating nectariferous plants. Billion Tree Honey Initiative launched by Prime Minister Imran Khan will be an available and workable project to alleviate poverty and develop the bee product sector. Also, it will lead to broad prospects of Pak-China cooperation in this field. Development of bee product sector, a typical labor-intensive industry, will efficiently alleviate local poverty in Pakistan.
The belief that honey beekeeping can play an essential part in Pakistan's poverty alleviation has been proved throughout years. In the early 80s, Pakistan's bee industry has witnessed a huge breakthrough as the country imported European bee and domesticated it with the help of PARC. Later, for the development of bee farming, the breeding of the imported European bees started in Punjab University in 2004. In view of its economic importance, bee farming program has been set up in Punjab University and different training courses have been introduced for the students and bee farmers. These small creatures changed lives of many, enabled women to step out of their homes and participate in social production.
At present, the production of honey in the country has increased significantly, and bee farming is a sector that not only generates profit to the economy but also provides employment, as bee farming doesn't need much land. So those who are landless, or even those people who are not economically stable, can increase their business to some extent and improve their economic conditions by gaining technical knowledge of this bee farming. Keeping this in mind, Punjab University has started a honeybee program. Honey on the production scale in Pakistan is a very profitable occupation, and now it has become a hobby. From Gilgit-Baltistan to Karachi, Sindh, people are linked to this profession. Not only male members of our society are linked to this profession, but the women are also keen towards bee farming. Indeed, I myself formed a station where queen bees are artificially created by women of that area. Similarly, in our training programs, we guide the farmers about how to make a queen artificially. People who used to wear broken shoes 10 years ago and visited us, now they have their own cars. They benefit from the university by getting various information and learn new techniques about bee farming. Well, export of honey has also changed the fate of bee farmers because we have promoted our honey in foreign countries.
It is anticipated that marketing of 70,000 metric tons of honey will generate an income about 35 to 43 billion rupees, over 218 to 267 million US dollars in the national economy, and provide about 87,000 green jobs. A statement released by the Prime Minister's office said that about 10,000 beekeepers are using 300,000 colonies for producing 7,500 metric tons of honey annually. The potential can be enhanced to produce 70,000 metric tons of honey from the same harvest. What are the challenges faced by Pakistani bee farmers in terms of increasing yields?
Honeybee are living things, so diseases approach them and mites attack them. There are 2 or 3 kinds of mites that attack honeybee. We call them big mite or varroa mite. and the other one is called small mite or triplets or tracheal mite. When these mites attack on honeybee, the honeybee cannot grow well. We can see that these are crawling at the front of the box, and these are crawling slowly. Their wings are not grown fully, and that's why these cannot fly. This way they are reduced in numbers and it affects production.
There are two famous types of mites, varroa mite and tracheal mite, that annoy both beekeepers and bees. The biggest problem is pesticide poisoning during nectar collection process, especially when these bees collect nectar from citrus fruits like mosambi, malta, kinnu, fruta, and other same family fruit. When the bees collect nectar, the plants are sprayed with anti-pesticide and it causes the death of bees. This also has a direct effect on the flower as well.
Bee mite has been reckoned as one of the biggest menaces of Pakistani bee farming industry. From 1908 to 1979, Pakistan tried to import bees and develop apiculture 17 times, but all of those attempts failed due to bee mite. What efforts did the scholars make during the past decades?
There are many medicines to control this, but we try to use the method of integrated test management. We have designed a method called My Tray. If you place a tray at the bottom of the box, what happens by this? Mites fall from honeybee and will never come up again. Other than this, we use soft chemicals, pharma acid and zoliic acid. We have also brought medicines from China.
We have imported a medicine Episton from China to fight against this disease of mites. It is stripped and placed in bee colonies after every while. Instead of relying on this method of disease control, as I have told you earlier, we provide information or booklets to the farmers about how to get rid of this disease without chemicals. For example, grinded sugar, we spray it on the hive, the bees lick that sugar, and as a result the mites stick to the feet of the bees and they won't be able to cause any damage to the bees.
Nowadays, through scientific breeding, drug treatment and the most advanced physical treatment, Chinese beekeepers have controlled it very well and a world-leading level. We can share all of those techniques with Pakistan to improve its apiculture. Under CPEC Agriculture Corporation, we would love to share other experiences and techniques with our iron brother as well, such as scale development of apiculture, vegetating nectariferous plants, scientific payoffs, bee species breeding, and so on.
Pakistan has a huge potential to export good quality honey as the country has 12 climatic zones with different kinds of habitat and flora. And the honey produced in different zones have different tastes ranging from less sweet and light one to very sweet and having thick consistency. Aside from production, marketing is also a crucial part of honeybee farming industry. The most demanded honey is jojube honey. We call it Caesar as well. It is mostly exported to Arab countries. The online business groups are also selling this honey after purchasing from us, otherwise, mostly it is exported. We want that our honey to be exported to the world, but we are banned from European countries. We do not export directly to those countries. We export our honey to Saudi and Dubai. They pack our honey with their country tag's name and then it is exported to European countries. You can say that our honey is exported in bulk quantity. Like 28 to 30 kg cane is bought by all types of business groups. It is bought by both large and small business companies. The companies buy this in bulk from us and export it with their tag name to Europe and other countries.
The farmers don't have any facility where they can test their honey. There is no laboratory in the country that issues a certificate for testing honey. When farmers export untested honey, they sometimes face a loss. Our exporters aren't familiar with the process of export. For example, when honey is exported to Saudi Arabia, they quarantine our honey at the airport in Riyadh, and for being substandard, they waste it. The farmers don't even get the payment of their honey.
Chinese products have large scope in every type of markets. Their products reach both high-end markets and low-end markets. Basically, their certification regime and lab infrastructure is very strong. The demand for food in those markets is very high. China also imports food, and if Pakistan wants to prosper in it, for instance, in superfood or tech food, there are chances for a joint venture with Chinese firms. And if we want our labs to grow in the shortest possible time, then their companies, government-related joint ventures have potentials. We should take out maximum honey. We can reach up to 20,000 metric tons, and if we can achieve higher goals by exporting certified honey.
China is the largest bee products consumer in the world, has a full range of mature solutions to develop apiculture. Pakistan can import from China techniques and production mode. Meanwhile, export bee products to Chinese market where bee products including honey, bee milk, bee wax and specially propolis in great demands. It will stimulate the Pakistani economy, create jobs and also alleviate local poverty.
During the epidemic, rural e-commerce has consolidated the achievements of poverty alleviation in China. E-commerce has not only facilitated rural people's daily lives, but also improved local employment and prosperity.
Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan used to say that casting off poverty for 100 million Pakistanis is a major goal and his inspiration is China. Last year in China, 832 state-level poor counties have been removed from the poverty list. The achievement left a deep impression on Moinul Haq, Pakistan's ambassador to China, who took office last year.
In the recent times, I think what impressed me most was your efforts and your people's battle against COVID-19. The other thing which has struck me is your very remarkable achievement in alleviating poverty from your country. More than 800 million people, taking them out of absolute poverty is a miracle of recent times. So this is something which a country like Pakistan, we are going to learn from this experience. We are already working together, two countries, to learn from China's own experience and strategy of poverty alleviation.
In China, e-commerce has become an indispensable method for farmers to sell agricultural products. Last year, the total amount of online sales in the 832 rural counties was 301.45 billion yuan, increased by 26% over the same period last year. Among them, the online retail sales of agricultural products were 40.66 billion yuan, which rose 43.5% with the growth rate increased by 14.6%.
E-commerce platform is also important and which embassy is looking at for poverty alleviation. Last year, I think in 2020, the e-commerce sale in China was about $18 trillion, which was the highest in the world. Because in China, we have seen that this platform, e-commerce, has been used to market the farm produce and the products of the villages in China, and to as part of the poverty alleviation strategy. The farmers were given the capacity building, the training, use of mobile, how to use, establish e-commerce stores, branding of their products.
Due to the epidemic, many offline stores are closed. The development of e-commerce is at high speed. Collaborating with the local governments in the rural areas, we set up a task force for poverty alleviation. We helped more than 200 areas in 28 provinces. JD has settled many e-commerce industry bases in different rural areas where the facilitators assist farmers in designing the package and marketing. We also organized a live stream marketing activities in the field to show the viewers how the fruit is growing, how it is fertilized. It can help the product to win more customers' trust.
We've been to Beijing, Hebei, Guangdong, Shaanxi, and many other rural counties in our other provinces. While broadening the sales channels of agricultural products, we also provided farmers with 1 year of free access to our online store. In addition, our professional anchor team went to the field to help the farmers with live stream marketing. We also helped local enterprises and county governments to train some people into spokesmen of their hometown so that they can keep driving the local e-commerce economy after we leave.
In addition to JD, Taobao and other big brand e-commerce platforms, short video platforms like TikTok and Kawaii also participated in the development of rural e-commerce.
Although people go to the short video platforms to watch videos when they suddenly see something good, it is potential to be converted into orders. The marketing of the short video platform is content-oriented and imperceptible. The year 2020 is the decisive year for China to fight against poverty. We have launched the Support Seedling Plan, which includes the activities like marketing with hundreds of county magistrates, where the county magistrates participated in the live streaming sales with e-commerce influencers to promote local characteristic products.
Local transportation, network signal, and other infrastructure conditions are necessary for e-commerce development. Alleviating poverty with e-commerce in rural areas is a task full of challenges.
The rural countries have a lot of common. One is the logistics are less developed, the other is that farmers normally hold suspicion towards e-commerce. The good thing is that now many cadres in Chinese villages are college graduates. They are young, e-commerce and live stream are more acceptable to them. With their help, e-commerce education and training for farmers were carried out more fluently. We also wanted to transfer the concept that mobile phone can be your new agriculture tool. We went to various villagers to find farmers and give them training, telling him how to put their products on the online store and how to operate the e-commerce platform. We also gave them more exposure on our platform so that they can get more viewers and increase sales.
Logistics is a big problem. After negotiating with the local government, we suggested farmers send their products to local supply and marketing cooperatives so that the goods can be integrated and sold online together by organizations. Logistics companies tend to take large orders, so such integrated sales can also promote the development of local logistics. Another problem is related to the qualification and packaging. Products with no name, no address, no production and sanitation license code are not allowed to enter the platforms like JD or Taobao. We also provided one-stop services to farmers, packaging and selling the products online. Before, those products could only be sold in the wholesale market. Also, many farmers have a strong dialect accent. It is difficult for us to communicate with them. So ask the local government to select some young people who know about e-commerce, then we train them.
China's experience in alleviating poverty through e-commerce is influencing other countries along the Belt and Road, helping them with their local employment and economic development.
I visited Rwanda in 2019. Alibaba Group set up a company there where they trained Rwandan youth e-commerce skills. Rwandan coffee is very good and Rwandan chili is very hot. After training, those youth helped to export local products to China through e-commerce. We also selected 20 outstanding young people from Rwanda to study cross-border e-commerce in Alibaba's business school of Hangzhou Normal University for 4 years. More young people from Belt and Road countries can get a job or start their own business through e-commerce. Cooperation with Rwanda is just a start. I think we still have a lot of work to do to promote the development of e-commerce in other Belt and Road countries.
In Pakistan also, e-commerce is now growing. In Pakistan, it's one of the fastest. In the last few years, we have been one of the fastest growth we have seen in Pakistan also. Our tele-density is almost 80%. Use of mobile is more than 50% of the population now has access to phones, and the use of smartphones is growing. We have an e-commerce platform called Daraz, which was bought by Alibaba, and it's doing very well. So we are working with some of the Chinese companies to establish such an e-commerce platform in Pakistan as part of our own poverty alleviation program, which is called ASAS, which is doing very well. And about the mobile payment system, it is also now coming to Pakistan. We have introduced a program called RAST, which is also part of our ASAS program, which is Poverty Alleviation Program. Now it has introduced end-to-end digital payment, direct digital payment. So it's just quite a game changer in Pakistan, just started. So we hope that we will like to invite Chinese investments in this area, interest, especially like WeChat payments, which is very efficient, very, very convenient. And we do hope that in Pakistan one day we will have that kind of a platform in Pakistan.
Prime Minister Imran Khan said that 60% of all energy produced in Pakistan will be clean or renewable by 2030. Pakistan has decided not to have any power based on coal and to replace coal power based projects with hydroelectricity.
Straddling the Indus Valley, Pakistan is endowed with considerable water resources, so it enjoys the huge potential for producing electricity from hydropower. As some underdeveloped areas are still without access to electricity, the construction of small, mini, and micro hydropower plants in these areas has helped resolve the issue and aids the life of a local people. In this regard, a Chinese company has completed the building of over 13 small, mini, and micro hydropower plants in Pakistan as of 2019, of which were most in Gilgit and KP. CEO George Zhao has shared this story.
We built a 1,000 kilowatt hydropower plant in Gilgit, which is used to supply electricity to the Suster customs. Once the power is generated, the customs office can operate normally and it becomes very convenient for customs clearance. Also in the surrounding villages, people's lives became more convenient. Besides, we also built hydropower plants in some rural areas in KP, which are totally without access to electricity previously. After the village got electricity, everything got more lively even than the celebration of New Year's Day. It really changed a lot. These small, micro and mini hydropower plants could help rural areas to realize electrification and lay a solid foundation for further modernization and intellectualization.
As for working in Pakistan, Zhao got great support from the Pakistani local government in connection with safety issues.
First of all, I would appreciate the Pak-China friendship. Once we arrived at the airport in Pakistan, someone would care for our safety. Generally speaking, it is relatively smooth for a Chinese company to go through customs clearance when doing business here. After reaching the power plant, we would receive the security service. This made us feel safe and relieved.
Besides, whenever Chu arrived in Pakistan, he received great help from local urban villagers, which made him quite moved.
The second point is the support from local villagers in Pakistan. In the process of building hydropower plant there, as long as we offered them a job, they worked very hard to help us. After knowing that we were to send electricity, many villagers came to help us spontaneously. For example, they helped us store the facilities, and no facilities got lost or destroyed after a long time, thanks to their careful protection. Besides, they often cook for us, they treat us like their families and took care of us in daily life. We are very grateful for their support. It feels like that we are truly iron brothers.
Chu introduced the prerequisites for the establishment of small, mini, and micro hydropower plants in Pakistan, including abundant water resources, large demand for electricity, and the country's potential for development.
For building small and medium-sized hydropower plants in one place, it depends on the following conditions. First, the water resources should be rich. Second, the electricity demand should be large enough. The third is the country's development potential, such as a large population. Pakistan just has these features, so we decided to build hydropower plants here.
Besides, CPEC has also created opportunities and privileges for SMEs like the company Zhao works for.
We also acquired some benefits from the projects under CPEC. For example, for a small-sized enterprise like us, it is truly costly to turn to an agency for transporting facilities to the local power plant. However, a business platform under CPEC recommends a local logistics enterprise to us, which supports us a lot in this regard.
Taking advantage of its leading position in the field of electric power, PowerChina actively carries out infrastructure construction in Pakistan, such as world.When power project, Tharbela 4th extension hydropower project. So how are Chinese and Pakistani companies cooperating at present?
We have extensive cooperation with our Pakistani counterparts. The first thing we should praise is the huge human resources in Pakistan. There is a demographic dividend, and the structure of human resources is also very reasonable in Pakistan. So in our cooperation, Pakistani staff members did lots of work such as project management, equipment installation, civil engineering. We fight side by side harmoniously. For example, in the construction of world.When power plant that we invested in, there is actually only one Chinese staff member and all the others are local Pakistani employees. So far, the plant has been operating very well.
Speaking of cooperation between China and Pakistan, what are the advantages?
I think one of the biggest advantages of the cooperation between China and Pakistan is the support of the two countries. The friendship between China and Pakistan lays the biggest foundation of our cooperation. Pakistan has huge advantages in human resources and we have advantages in technology. Now we are also working with Pakistani contractors through a joint venture and slowly transfer our technology and capabilities to enterprises so that they can accumulate some experiences and achievement in project contracting.
To develop clean energy in Pakistan, what difficulties may be encountered and what efforts should be made further, Professor Wang Xiaotong gave his answer.
So far as hydropower is concerned, there are two problems. One is that the water resources in Pakistan is not very rich. It's not as rich as coal. And second is that all the water resources is along the eastern part of Pakistan. Then how to solve the problem? I have some suggestions. One is that just I've mentioned, convert coal into gas and petroleum. The second is that we develop more new renewable power. For that, in the past few years, China and Pakistan companies, I think, have more than a dozen joint projects of wind power projects. And actually, now we have to also develop solar power. Because for the Earth, if we fully make use of the solar, then that itself is enough. But the mankind has not developed that solar energy enough.
For the future development of clean energy in Pakistan, Pakistani ambassador to China Moin al-Haq also expressed his views. He pointed out that Pakistan is working on this area very actively.
The clean energy is an important part of Pakistan's government initiative, not only to have environmental free in the area of environment and climate change mitigation also. So we are promoting energy mix which is mostly clean, like hydro, wind and solar. And some of the Chinese companies are not only major dams project, hydro dam project, they are investing in them, but we have the largest solar park in Pakistan was also established with the help of the Chinese companies. So we are working on this area very, very actively.
That's all for today's Corridor Recorder. Thanks for your watching. See you next time.